Alessandro Khojane is a renowned entrepreneur and restaurateur and owner of the highly acclaimed Gemelli restaurant located in Bryanston, Johannesburg. Alessandro, the youngest of 6 children, was born in Bloemfontein, but the family relocated to Italy when he was just 6 months old, and he spent his days in a beautiful little area called Olgiata near Rome. He was immersed in Italian culture, first by language as a fluent Italian speaker, then by the people, and eventually closely followed by the appreciation for the food. With the heightened interest in Italian cuisine and the culinary culture as a whole, Alessandro then made the decision to share his love with the rest of South Africa, and Gemelli was born. Today, Gemelli has cemented its place as one of the finest contemporary Italian family restaurants over the last 7 years, and it is a mainstay and regular for Joburg food lovers looking for a homely feel in a modern and trendy Joburg setting. The restaurant has further formed the foundation into Alessandro's entrepreneurial pursuits, and he has used his industry know-how to extend into Manaka Coffee, a premium coffee brand, Young Khoj Consultancy, which offers turnkey solutions to restaurateurs, Troy Major Transport, a logistics company, and Knockout Legends, a boxing and fitness gym situated in the northern part of Johannesburg. This is the story of Alessandro Khojane.
Thank you so much for joining us. How does it feel to be back home? Because I heard somebody when the piece said he was born in Bloemfontein, you were like, Sure, how does it feel to be back home as you are now?
Sheesh. It's different. But for me, I feel like Kiwana blow. I'm from the Free State, Kiwana.
Hey!
Nothing much has changed, to be honest, for me. Now, for me, nothing has hit home yet.
Let's talk about your journey into business. You know, it's one thing to have a love for food. When did you make the decision, and how did you make the decision to say, actually, I want to grow this passion into a business that gives me profit and it's not just a hobby?
Well, let's start off by, I started restauranting when I was 19. So now, I went to school in Durban. So I got to school here at Unicom High, more Twist Plate. And then I went to Durban to study, to do marketing. And then Kaba, last born. I didn't like school. Me in school. So I didn't go to school. I realized that I was at varsity first year. In June, one of my boys comes up to me like, bro, are you ready for exams? I'm like, what exams? The whole 3-4 months of the first year, I didn't go to school. I was just partying. So I got home and I had to tell my mom that I didn't go to school. And my mom was like, so you're going back to school? I'm like, yeah, I'm going back. And then my dad was like, dog, don't waste our money. So like, either you're going to school or you're not going to school, you must. And I was like, Dad, hey, okay, I'm going to school. So, you know, I went back and then I didn't go to school.
Again?
I did a whole year and I failed. And in that year, my dad passed away. And my dad was maybe the only man I ever fear and I'll ever fear in my life. I went from having this strong guy as my dad that will help me out, and from that happening to nothing. So I already hated school. Since I got money from a very young age. My mom was like, okay, so you're not going to school anymore? Cool. I've done my job as your parent. I've given you everything I have. My job ends out at school. So I was out at school. You're a man now, so good luck. So the only job I could do that I didn't have to have an education for was waitering in Durban. Because I was already in Durban, I knew people there. I started waitering and I fell in love with waitering. And my boss, his name was Marco Conti. His mom worked in the kitchen at Marco's. And he ran a restaurant called Marco's, white cloth, very calm and collected. And I'm loud, like customers just like, Jesus, what's wrong with this kid? Why is he so loud? Jesus. So Marco was like, dog, keep it down. Try just like... Just keep it very calm. And I didn't know how to. So Marco was like, you know what? Let's build another restaurant. So we shared a kitchen. She's like, my mom's in the kitchen. Now we have to build another restaurant for you. So you're joining the kitchen. And he built a restaurant next door called Mama Luciana's under his mom's name. And that was like the Totteria. You could go there in shorts. Was the...
Cool kids.
Yes. So that happened, and that's why I started restauranteering. I started from being a waiter. Marco put me through my paces. I earned money. That's how I lived. I didn't have a job. My job was waitering. And then I moved up to Joburg in 2007 because my whole family was here already, and started managing a restaurant called Kokake Pizzeria there. And when I moved up here, I was like, I want to open my own restaurant. I want to open my own restaurant. And I kept telling Marco, I want to open my own restaurant. And Marco was like, you're not ready. I'm like, I'm ready, man. 2006, let's go, man. He's like, no, you're not ready. I'm like, all right, tick. I'm going to Joburg then. 2007, went to Joburg. And when I got to Joburg, I worked for Kokake Pizzeria. It's Kokake. And that's where I learned systems, because it's a franchise, right? And as a restaurant manager in a franchise, they teach you so many systems. You do stock sheets, you count stock every day, everything. And I didn't realize how much I didn't know until I joined the franchise model. In the franchise model, I'm bored. I wanted shares. They didn't want to give me shares. I was like, take. And I went to join another family restaurant called Café del Sol in 2012. And I was a restaurant manager there, and they kept promising me a restaurant. I was like, guys, I want this restaurant. And finally, we had an opportunity to open a restaurant together with my ex-employees in 2014. And being naive and everything, they're like, Ale, let's open the shop. We'll sign the papers. It's November now, man. We're opening. We're going to lock in December, January, February. We'll sign the papers in Jan. Don't worry for your shares, no problem. So we opened a second restaurant under their name, which I was supposed to have 20% shares of. And then we opened, did a great time. 2 months, we locked in December, like we always do in Joburg, because Joburg is dead. And then we open again in Jan 2015. And I would go to my boss. I'm like, yo, so... boy. He's like, but wait, the lawyers are away. They went on holiday. They'll be back. I'm like, okay, cool, sure. Feb, March. I'm like, yeah, what I'm gonna need? Dog, like... He's like, Ale, you know what? Let's have a meeting. So April 12th, I remember the day.
Wow.
And then I got upset. Anyway, April 2012, they sat me down and they're like, listen, Ale, we're not going to give you shares in the business. When you joined us, you're the only manager, and now there's 5 managers and they're making you look like... I was like, oh. So I'm not working. They're like, yeah, we're not going to give you shares in our business. I was like, no problem. I was like, following day, I resigned. Tech! You know me, I'm the king of that. I was like, you too. April 13th, I'm the king of that. People that know me know that. I'm the chair of my boy. I was like, dog, why? I'm like, hey, take my right? So April 13th, I resigned. April 14th, I was like, guys, I'm out. They're like, but you gotta serve notice. I'm like, hey, what deal? I'm out. Take. I'm out. So I left. Yeah. And I was gonna go bus tables in New York. I was gonna go work as a waiter in New York. I've always wanted to work in New York. I love New York. I'd never been to New York. Alicia Keys, Binaga Yonara, and Jay-Z. New York. I was like, yeah, that's where I want to be. So my birthday, July 10th. My birthday was on July 8th, 2015. July 10th, we had booked a flight for me to go to New York. June, my older brother, Ndai, Big Baby GP, on Instagram. I'm sure everybody knows him. He's cool. My brother's like, hey, didn't you say you want to open your own restaurant? I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know. He's like, yeah. But let's try to find you money. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But I forgot, on April 14th, Jeremy Ord calls me in 2015. Jeremy Ord, one of my customers, calls me like, Ali, I want a table at Gemelli. I'm at that other restaurant. I don't like calling it by name. Anyway, so like, I want a table at that restaurant. I'm like, well, I've resigned, I've left. They think I'm not good enough. He's like, you know what, boy, you don't know it yet, but you're gonna open. That's his way. He's like, you don't know it yet, but you're gonna open your own restaurant one day. Wow. And the guy's name, his name, I'm proud to say is Jeremy Ord. He's the ex-owner of Dimension Data. Old white man. He just liked me. He knew me for 2 months. I met him in February 2015. April 2014, I resigned. He told me that you don't know it yet, but you're gonna open your own restaurant. May, he's like, hey, just try open your own store. So I go looking around for a site, find the site. The owner of the building I knew from my waitering days in Durban. And he's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to open this restaurant called Gemelli. He's like, why Gemelli? I'm like, Gemelli means twins. It represents family. Me and my brother look alike. One outfit of 6. We're very proud. We're a very big family. I love family. Like, I couldn't find a restaurant that caters to our whole family. And then that come from, like, when I was getting married, to negotiate, because my wife is from Joburg. And they were comfortable to eat in that restaurant easily. They could find meals. You take them to restaurants, say, in my shop, they were able to do that. So that was the whole idea of Gemelli. And then Jeremy gave me 4 million. So in June, I was like, Jim, I actually found that restaurant now. I'm ready to open it. Here's the business.
Money.
About that cash. Where the money at? Right? So he's like, give me a business plan. I gave him my business plan, which was a joke. So I gave him the business plan, he looks at it. He goes, I'll call you tomorrow. Following day, he calls me, Jeremy. And this is in June. Jeremy calls me. He's like, hey, what I'm firstly, you know I love you, right? I'm like, yeah, Jeremy, I know, dog. Come on. Why you gotta set me up first? He's like, no, please do me a favor. Don't ever show anybody that rubbish of a business plan he gave me. I'm like, but Jeremy, he's like, hey, man, that thing is rubbish, man. But I like you and I like your energy. So I'm gonna give you the money to open the store. But I'm like, he's like, I've known you for 4 months, but I'm backing. Let's go. And then the penny drops. Got a new thing, hey, you want to open a restaurant? Now you're like, I've always ran restaurants. I've never owned a restaurant. So it's 2 different things. And then now you gotta build the whole restaurant. You decide the tiles, you gotta decide the cutlery, you gotta decide, hey, I had so many decisions to make.
Yeah.
But thank God to the woman I'm married to. She did all of that. She helped me with all of that.
Yeah.
And we opened Gemelli.
Sure, what a story. What a story. What do you think about identifying opportunities in the networks? Because in your whole story, I've heard you speak about people of Nekiko Skolongle, Marco and his mother.
Yeah.
I was at the restaurant.
Yeah.
It was Jeremy. It's people that you know. Talk to me about the strength of identifying opportunities within your networks.
The strength is you have to listen to each other. I think we don't talk to each other, firstly. Once we talk to each other, you actually realize that we need each other. For example, me, my ex-supplier, is now my manager. He was my manager already of the restaurant, and he realized within my business, actually he identified opportunities within I picked up opportunities in my business, and because he's my logistic manager and he's my procurement manager, he's like, we're spending X on eggs a year. I want to invest in this egg farm, and I love this farming thing. Please give me money to invest in the farm. We go through this much chicken in the business as Gemelli. And we backed him. We gave him some money to open, to help him build his own thing, and now he's our supplier.
Wow.
Crazy. But he still works for us.
Yeah.
He's still in the business. He's still part of the Gemelli brand. He still works at the shop. He still sends reports to the board, trying to deal in them. He is still in the business, but he realized this is where my opportunity is to become an entrepreneur within this business.
What a lesson in identifying opportunities where you are right now.
Yeah.
Because essentially he's already securing himself an existing client, a business he understands back to front, and he's going to start something new, but he knows he needs to deliver because he needs to deliver.
Yeah.
Sure.
With Knockout Legends, the gym, as a restaurateur, I eat food all day, every day. I'm always eating. And I had to start training. And you always tell yourself, and you don't. You always make an excuse. But once you're involved in a business and own a business that is about being healthy and looking healthy, I think I look pretty good. You know. So I decided, to be honest, I started gymming just so I could eat what I want. No, I don't diet. I eat whatever I want, but I train as hard as possible. And I was like, oh, a lot of people have that issue. Yeah. And that's how Knockout Legends has always been around. It's always been a gym. I got involved 2 years ago with them, and we've grown the business since then.
identifying opportunities in something you genuinely love.
Correct.
But you are applying a business model to it.
Correct.
So that it's not a hobby.
It's
a
not a hobby.
business.
I'm making money from it. There's nothing for free no more.
Whilst you're punching the bag.
Anything counts right now, guys.
All right, we're going to go to questions from our entrepreneurs in the audience. How can one best convince a small business sector that market research is important to them, not just for big businesses, but it's also important to them? Because let's be honest, right? In the Gemelli story, you kind of like had a hunch and you went for it.
My research was me. My research was, I believed in my ability to cook and make good food. And the gap was there in the market in Joburg at the time, where there wasn't a family restaurant that catered to everybody. So yeah, I didn't do much of a market research. I'm lucky.
And when it comes to the logistics business, because you obviously have the logistics business, you've got the gym as well, but doing research into, talk to me about the research you've had to do in those businesses.
I'm learning a lot of hard lessons there. So as an entrepreneur as well, like you never just sit. Like, kind of going with, okay, guys, just to take the money and just sit with it. Just make it instead of, as entrepreneurs, we don't find a new thing to do. So the truck game, I'm learning a lot. Like I did my market research. My market research was okay. But the reality is you need to be in the business to make money in the business. Yeah. You cannot outsource that stuff. You can't outsource it. Market research is very important. I didn't do market research for one of my other restaurants that I opened that didn't work, Zio. And I should have done a market research on that area because I don't know that area. And I thought because I'm Alessandro from Gemelli, I can open a restaurant called Zio in Hyde Park.
And we went.
And then people went.
Zio.
We went.
Yakwala.
Yeah, it was rough. Because it was a beautiful, quaint little restaurant. So again, it's okay to fail. I failed. I had Gemelli and I failed. I opened Zio and it failed. Again, back to market research. I didn't do my homework on that. I assumed my name is big enough.
Big enough. Yeah.
I assumed people will follow me automatically, and they did. But it didn't work out. So yeah, market research is important.
Yeah. We've got a question coming through from Balisa May saying, as a restaurant owner, mention a time when you failed, like Zio, in this role and the lesson that you learned. And at what point did you know you have a winning formula?
The time I failed, the lesson is, I think 8 months before the business failed, I kind of had a hunch that it wasn't doing well, but I kept putting money in it. That's the biggest mistake. So I don't do everything on my own. I do what I do. I run Gemelli. I go get the business. I've got a group of very smart guys behind me that run the business side of business. Again, there's running a restaurant and there's running a business. I had no idea how to run a business.
So working in the business versus working on the business.
On the business.
You know how to work in the business. But on the business, nah.
So, and when I opened Zio, my board was like, bro, you sure? I'm like, yo, I want to do this. They're like, all right. And they let me fall on my face. Like, have you learned now? I'm like, yeah. Expensive lesson. Expensive lesson. The lesson of the failure is like, listen, bro. Just listen. Listen, see when you see it, that it's not working. Sometimes we're just like, it'll work out. No.
Yeah.
Stand outside the business. Let somebody else have a look at your business and ask you questions about that business.
I like that.
You know, get out the business. Just let other people ask you about your business.
And don't be defensive in the answers.
Don't be defensive.
Understand that we're trying to do what is best for you and the business at the end of the day, and you might not like what they're saying to you.
I hate what they say to me because nobody likes to be told that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right? I own Gemelli. Zio, of course I can do Zio, no problem. It's a 70-seat restaurant. Gemelli's 300. Don't tell me about 70 seats.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
When did you know you had a winning formula?
I knew I had a winning formula before I opened Gemelli. I always said I want to open a family restaurant with a vibe. Before I opened it, it was just about opening it. And then sticking to me and my brand and who Gemelli is. And no matter what comes, there's restaurants that come and go. There's vibe restaurants. There's all types of things that will come and go. Don't deviate from what you said you're going to do.
Yeah. Got a question from Dimi saying, I assume you felt really small at some point during the rejections from big business people. How did you overcome them and what kept you going?
I move on fast, I'm like, all right, you don't like it? Cool. You? Oh, you don't like it? Cool. You don't like it? Cool. I'm just going to carry on with this job I have right now until somebody likes what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother me. Like, I think it shouldn't bother you. You shouldn't be discouraged by people saying no. People should say no. Like, if people said yes, then everybody will have these great ideas, right?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Tammy wants to know, any prospects of Gemelli in Bloem?
Yo. Again, remember what I said? I have to talk to my board and my chair about that, you know? I told them to shop of it.
Don't you also have to do the research?
We have to do the research, yeah.
Appetite for it.
No.
Because like you said, your name is not just because you're from
Just
Bloem,
because I'm from
Gemelli
Bloem.
is doing well in Joburg doesn't mean it's going to do well here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do I have, is the market for Bloem big enough? Can people in Bloem afford to eat out every day of the week like Joburg?
Yeah.
Because I've got Gauteng, I've got Pretoria, I've got people who drive from Pretoria.
Yeah.
Bloemfontein.
Yeah.
So
And it's a reality that you're accepting to make a business call.
Yeah.
And sometimes someone would be like, but Utsamo, why is that easy? Your project go high.
No.
Why don't you bring your business here? But it's like he's making a business decision so that it doesn't end up being...
Zio.
I mean, I wanted to say it, but then...
Why you like this?
Because I really enjoyed Zio. It's another one of those
You
things,
enjoyed
right?
Kokake Pizzeria when I first moved to Joburg.
So I've known you a long time.
When I was a restaurant manager.
I've known you a very
And
long
you're a
time.
very young lady on TV. Change that interview this way.
So yeah, talk to me about the composition of your board, right? Because I think for many of us here, we think my business is too small for me to have a board. Who do I need to have on this board? You know?
You know, a business is never too small to have. Mahwala is a board. And these big corporations call it a board. You can have about 12 that consult you and you believe in. You must understand, first of all, you need to respect your board. They need to have a beautiful track record. It's just...
How am I taking advice from... But you can't... How are you going to hear from outside the club?
You know what I'm saying? You know? For me, my board consists of two guys I respect a lot. They're both very well respected in what they do. Your board must just consist of people you respect and trust. And both of them are not in the restaurant game at all.
And there's only two.
There's two. I'm the third member. I like to call myself a member.
But you see, it's that thing of Kori Bioscope, ne? Kori Film. You see a
there's-
board, you
yeah,
walk
but
into a
20.
room, it's 20 people sitting
No.
around a room with their suits and just three of you.
It's just three of us. And I'm only there to answer questions and get in trouble and get shouted at. I actually believe my board just does. That's all they do. They shout at me.
No, it's called accountability.
Hala, eh, it's hard to solve, eh. No, but like seriously, guys, a board, if I could advise anybody, a board is the best thing to have. And a board is anybody that you believe in and that believes in your best interest. Your board is people that have nothing to gain from you being successful. And when I say that, I get a bit teary-eyed.
Yeah.
Good guys that help me in a hard time.
I wanted us to go there.
Yo.
You know, I think the reality of COVID for a lot of restaurants, especially, many businesses were impacted, but more so the social ones. Take me to the darkness that you went into during COVID and how you got out.
Yo, let me take you back to 2018, right? Because I think I was ready for COVID after 2018. 2018 was a very rough year. Just got married, February, best time of my life. Whoop, whoop. Again, I didn't know how to run a business. I knew how to run a restaurant. So Gemelli by that time is 3 years old. I knew nothing about tax, income tax, UIF. 2018, June, I owed the tax man a lot of money. Was it 11 million, Che? He's somewhere. I owed the tax man money, I owed. And then my partners jumped ship. They're like, how do you owe this much money? I'm like, guys, I'm the artist.
I'm the food guy. I'm not the business guy.
I make food.
Yeah.
The shop is busy. Why are you guys not running the books? Meanwhile, I know nothing. My whole team lives in beautiful homes, drive beautiful cars, because I did what I wanted my bosses to do for me. Khante, that's not how it should be. People must earn their money and build, because I wanted my management team, my waiters to live like me. Because that's what I wanted. They said, no, chief. Everybody must earn their way. Anyway, I got into a lot of trouble. I owed a lot of money. And a gentleman by the name of, and I'll still say, Andile Kumalo, I'm an entrepreneur, came up and I was in a lot of trouble. So Tabiso first, is a family friend. Andile Kumalo is a family friend. And Tabiso is an accountant. And they're smart people, but that's not on board us. I never took them seriously. They irritate me. They always want to talk serious stuff, you know? And I've always known that They're good at what they do.
Smart guys.
And Thabiso kept harassing me for 3 years. Bro, who's doing your books? Why are you doing this? I'm like, don't worry about that.
Let's eat.
Let's eat, man. Hey, look, man. Hey. 2018 comes. I'm in so much debt, millions of rands of debt, because I was not running the business. Andile and Thabiso were like, your business is doing well. The top number there, the turnover, how are you coming down to what's going on in between?
In between.
I didn't know that there was an in between.
Why don't you coding?
I guess I knew. I don't know about the wages, petrol, stock,
Toilet paper,
stock, you know? And they just said to me, bro, can you keep that number up there? I'm like, so you're asking me to be me and carry on being me?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. And they're like, we'll carry about, don't worry about the other stuff. I'm like,
we'll deal with it.
We'll deal with everything else. I'm like, oh, all right. Let me get back to work. But for a week, every week, and Andy Lenters had nothing to gain, zero.
They were not shareholders.
They were not shareholders. Every week. Now, you need to understand what, in Joburg, my business is doing very well, thank God. And a business that does those kind of numbers, to have a board of the caliber of the two men I have, Chief, you're in for millions of rands in wages a month. These guys were just like, nah, let's fix this. We want to see you win. Let's fix this. And all I had to do was do my part, and they did their part. So for me, COVID was a loss, because 2018 was the hardest time of my year. So I've had Gemelli since 2015. I finished off paying debt of Gemelli last year, September.
Yo.
Because of my mistakes. Because I didn't have a board. Because I did not know how to run a business. Like I heard, it's all baker. But on our flower, give a guy, where you can cut money here, where that's where you need a board. Consultants.
An advisor.
Advisors that have zero
to gain.
But your success. So by the time COVID came again, because the board ran the business, and they're like, yo, dog, we just stay closed because we don't do takeaways, right? My hardest thing about COVID was my staff, not me. Because me as a business, I was good. Because I had Andile and Thabiso that made sure the business was good. But there's that part of me where I've got my team that I've been with. When are they going to sit at home and look at their kids in the eyes and say, what?
Yeah.
Right? So we reopened with their support. I forced them. They're like, bro, go try. But you know when you're failing now, right? I'm
if it doesn't work.
Zero. Yeah. You know when it's not working, just take it. Because there was a point where they're like, South Africa let us open for takeaways, you remember?
Yes.
I go open. So we opened, and thank God, people love the brand. And we hustled. And COVID was a time where I realized who's for me and who's not for me.
Yeah.
I had suppliers we lost over nothing because they panicked.
Yeah.
So COVID was hard, but we backed our brand. We believe in us. And we believe that we delivered a product that people love and believe in. Gemelli is a people's restaurant, bro. We always say that. That's where everybody hangs out, and that's my vibe. So yeah, we made it through COVID because we believed in our brand, but it was a dark time. It was a scary time. We didn't know where we were coming or going. So much backstabbing during that time. Yeah, COVID was rough.
Was eye-opening.
It was eye-opening, but I've got a support structure that 2018 made COVID look like pop and flakes. It was like a joke. COVID was a joke.
Yeah.
Compared to 2018, for me.
I think the lesson, I don't know if this is the lesson you guys are getting, but it's about own your mistake. If you've messed up, own it so that you can start fixing it. Instead of just sitting in the mess and not being able to get yourself out and knowing that now that I'm out on the other side, how do I not repeat
100%.
the mistake again?
Learn. But as an entrepreneur, you're going to make the same mistake. And that's what people don't, I think that's what we don't talk about as entrepreneurs. We're going to make the same mistake again. We're like, go and say no, chief. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes.
But sometimes you got to let it go.
Hey, dog.
Move on.
Hey, dog.
Move on. Dipale is a question coming through saying, a lot of people believe that being an entrepreneur is about long years of grinding to get capital. If you received a big check to start a business, people might not respect it as much, which is wrong. What do you say makes you an entrepreneur?
What makes you an entrepreneur is knowing that, A, accept the fact that you're going to be broke in the beginning. Like, lebala, because when you're getting paid a paycheck, it's great, because somebody's going to give you a salary at the end of the month. But when you start your own business, all your money goes there. Forget about the BMW, forget about just go back to square one, right? If you believe you need to believe in your brand that much. You need to be able to sacrifice your life that much.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not able to sacrifice that much, don't be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is not all it's painted out to be. This thing is hard, yo. It's hard. It's hard. Hey!
And it doesn't matter how you got the money.
It doesn't matter how you got the money. It's just about the grind. Can you grind?
Yeah.
Can you put your head down and work? Can you... Guys, the first 2 years of Gemelli, actually, from the age of 19 to the age of 31, I don't know how many Christmases and family weddings, events, I don't even know how my cousin's kids, I don't know what they look like.
Yeah.
Because all these events, happen on a Saturday. I'm in the restaurant game. Weekends is the busiest time.
Yeah. It's the sacrifice that you make.
Guys, being an entrepreneur is painful. I think I love that. I love watching I'm like, oh, that me?
That's you. You did that.
Because I don't see that.
Yeah.
I see Hulitata, like it's guys. It's been rough.
Yeah.
Now it's pretty. Ish.
We see the pretty.
You see the pretty.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah.
So being an entrepreneur, trouble about Tata, I feel that's the only we're Tata, like.
It doesn't matter where the money comes from.
Doesn't matter.
Because the truth of the matter is, people are always going to talk. So if you come from a family that afforded you the opportunity to give you startup capital to start your business, that's your blessing. Move. You can't be focused. There we go. You can't be focused on what other people are saying. You're not a real entrepreneur because we're not going to challenge.
No, you can't focus on that. Some of my very good friends, like one of my best mates comes from a very wealthy family. But what he's done with his dad's backing is I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Even if his dad gave me that money. So guys, there's no such thing as he's so so
life is easy.
And you must understand there's still pressure from dad when you get that 50 million.
Yeah.
It's not like daddy just signs a 50 million rand check. Yeah. Daddy sits there with you. What's going on there? What's going? It's a lot of pressure. It's all about being an entrepreneur. It's about being hard.
Yeah.
And believing in yourself, bro.
And allowing others the grace to fail the same way you would like to be allowed grace
100%.
to fail in that
100%.
space. Masejo says, what is your advice for startups in hospitality in the Free State?
Oh, guys, I don't want to comment on the Free State. I don't know the Free State. I got to the idea. So I don't want to answer that. I can't answer that. I got to the days. Guys, being an entrepreneur is hard. I won't lie to you. So I'd rather not comment on what to do to start in the Free State because I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
I don't want to lead you astray.
I like that. It's the honesty of knowing yourself and knowing what you can and cannot do, right? And I think that's important about identifying opportunities. Know what your capabilities are. You've given the example with just not being able to answer a question, but it's okay to say, I don't know.
In my good old days, I would have been like, hey, so Shay, hey, here's what you should.
Because, God, let me tell you, I know this.
After owning Jamaica, Zio humbled me. I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
I don't have the answers.
So you talk about how, you've got the board that fixed the in-between and you focused on the art. You focused on the top line. But how important do you think it is for an entrepreneur to know the numbers? I'll tell you why. So often, accountants are telling you, no, we're submitting. We're doing what was meant to be done. And then down the line, you find out that
2018. Guys, don't get me wrong. I had an accountant. I did. Bastard. I had an accountant. Satanio. Hey, I had an accountant that was not doing what he was supposed to be doing. Yeah. He just gave me numbers. We owe the tax man 500,000, but then because I know somebody on the inside, I've worked something out, you just have to pay 210. Okay, sharp, 210. So this 210 is not going to the tax man. But he's got a guy on the inside that's giving me tax certificates.
To say it's done.
Before I knew what tax certificates was. I've not been to hotel school. I've never been to business school. I learned everything I've learned. I've never walked into a hotel school. I got to school. Till today, chief. Even my board, we found out about and they forced me. They're like, bro, you need to understand your numbers.
That's it.
And these two guys came out with teeth. But how about we you're like, But that's where the respect is again. Yeah. Your board's gotta be people you respect. When they say jump, you be like, how high? I don't want to jump, but like, how high must I jump?
Yeah.
Right? And they talked me through the numbers, walked me through them numbers, showed me what a legit business should run like. Yeah. And I like shortcuts. I'm always ready. He's like, no, bro, you can be that as a person.
Yeah.
But this is a business.
Let's focus.
Business is not happening now. Even when we fight, like, we don't fight. But when we fight is because they're right and I think I'm right. And I need to prove to them that they're wrong.
Prove your case.
And every time I need to prove that I'm wrong. I'm like, dog, come on, let me win something. You know?
Yeah.
But that's what a board is, guys.
Yeah. Lastly, what would you say the impact of your dad's passing had on the trajectory of where you're at today as a man and as a businessman?
The passing of my dad was the beginning of me working. Because without my dad, there was nobody sending me money anymore. I can't go to school. So my dad's gone, so I had to become, I want to say my dad passed, so I had to become a man. No, I decided I don't want to go to school. So how am I going to make money? Who's going to send me money? I cannot tire him anymore. So I believe everything happens for a reason. I don't think I'd be where I am today if my dad was still alive. I was my father's son. I always say that, no matter how bad things are, like in hindsight, like now I've built my bar, because my dad was an entertainer. So I built my extended bar, Perignano bar. That's my dad's bar. Because that's my dad's name, Hulisani Ravele. But yeah, my dad's passing just made me have to work for myself. But in those days, I didn't look at it like that. I was like, all right. I decided to get spot. That was my mentality at the time.
If he was sitting right there for a moment, what do you think he'd say to you?
He would say, I'm a chini boy. Wait. That was my dad. I would say, my dad was my biggest fan. I was his biggest fan. I was my father's son. Yeah. And I think I went to school here in Unicom, and my dad was just buying those farms and reselling them. So my dad was an entrepreneur. They give out a time like, I would wake up, go start a koloi. Clap, because I knew he'd want to leave me. I used to wake up, start a koloi, clap, and get out of koloi. So I started driving at a very young age. I started driving at 15, 16. So I think where he's sitting down, he's like, my dad was like me. He doesn't take anything too seriously. My dad would be like, I'm sure in heaven right now, he's like, that was my dad. Like, me and my dad had that. I'm sure my dad would be proud of me, and I'm proud that I know that I'm making him proud.
I'm so grateful that you know that.
Yeah, no, I'm killing it.
I'm so grateful.
No, I'm killing it. I'm doing a lot.
Mosupi, Alessandro Khojane, we could have a conversation with you forever.
Ever.
We could learn so much from you forever.
Ever.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your honesty. And thank you for showing us that we can.
Because ha re shebile wena le rona ra e sheba gore le nna one day ke tlo fitlhella mo a leng teng.
You're going to have me to help you pass me.
That's it. On our board with nothing to gain.
With zero to I. Let's give a new goal. I'm not Andy Tabiso. I'm not a Samaritan.
You're not about that.
You know, pay me something.
Oh man, thank you so much, ladies.